This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield and co-host Marney Winfield.
Hey, so today's been a great day. Got my fines all paid off and motioned the court to finally see my daughter. Figured I'd call and let you know, man. All right, later.
It is the 30th of November, 2021. Welcome. My name is Corey Winfield.
My name is Marney Winfield.
And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. I almost got like all up in my announcer voice on that one.
Yeah.
And this is, but I didn't. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Busy
full day today.
But you stayed sober.
I did.
I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
I like it when you come home sober.
Yeah. You just like that I left today?
No. No, I did some self-care today. Mm-hmm. I rested. Which
Good.
Doctor said I needed to. My therapist, I talked to her today. She told me to rest, but it's hard because I want to do a lot of things and my stomach still hurts. It's not just the gallbladder. It's the whole pancreatitis thing. Mm-hmm. I'll just rest. So I rested. I did some self-care.
That's good.
Which sometimes you have to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm told.
Yeah.
Oh, and it felt good. But yeah, you were gone, and what they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Aww.
Yeah.
Is there truth to that then?
Mm-hmm. I made you dinner.
Yeah, I did. It was delicious. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a good time. And that's some of the small things that some people take for granted is every day. It's just going through the motions, but I like it. Mm-hmm. I like being sober.
Me too.
I like just cooking my wife dinner.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. You know, and as long as I'm not falling all over the place drunk, just glad I'm not in that place anymore. And today I found out by looking on Facebook, which of course, if anybody looked on Facebook today, you know what I'm about to say. It's Giving Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I watched so many videos. Some of them were cute. Some of them were funny. Some were horrible. And I made a mediocre video because I thought, well, I have to make one now too. Can't just sit here spending minutes and minutes watching the videos without making one. So I did. Just a video of me in the office saying, hey, I'm Corey. It's Giving Tuesday. I put a link on there. A lot of people share it on Facebook. And there's some company called Meta or whatever that is. They're matching just today's donations. Mm-hmm. So if you can hear this, pause it, go to Facebook real quick. Or I guess you can just let it keep playing. Just tell Alexa to play it. The 217 Recovery Podcast. But yeah, it helps support us. It really helps in the matching it too. Hey, why not? I know it's a few people started a couple Giving Tuesdays for us anyway, which was pretty sweet.
That is nice.
Made my eyes water a little bit.
I know. Isn't it touching?
I was like, wow, people really support what we're doing. And that's awesome. And what we are doing, I feel, is awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, we help people out. We just donated a bunch of things to the treatment center here in town, pillows, socks, underwear, which was nice. You know, little things like that go a long way. And we give people rides to and from treatment, which is a big deal, especially when it's recovery coach taking them, you know. Like a lot of people could just go, yeah, whatever, man, they can take the bus. But it really does make a difference. First of all, in the treatment center, like when we know where we're going, you know, like, well, I'll call them at least when I'm driving and I'll say, hey, you know, we'll be there at 2:00, you know, see you then. And I think that goes a long way from me working at a couple of treatment centers, just waiting for that person to show up, and then they never do. Mm-hmm. And they're 3 hours late, and you get your staff prepared for this person at set time, and then no one shows up. That's kind of like you're wasting resources. And so you think the treatment centers really appreciate it too. And I know some of them do. Mm-hmm. You know, it helps out. It really does.
I know that this time of year, I think, at least the experience from the treatment center that I work at, if we look back in, you know, years past, is that this time of year, there tends to be people that have full intentions on actually showing up to treatment and then just don't end up following through. I don't know what it is about this time. Maybe it's who knows what. In between the holidays, you know, maybe family blow up, who knows what. No, I'm serious. I don't know the rhyme to the reason, but it's happened years, and I mean, we compare them and we see the same thing, the same theme, and you know, people are supposed to be showing up for intakes and they never make it. So
Yeah,
we don't know what happens.
billion different reasons someone can come up with, and
Yeah.
it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, if they ride with family members, they start, I don't need to go. I don't, especially if it's their first time, they don't really want to go to treatment. They're embarrassed. They're afraid, and they might say, I'm not afraid. I just don't need it, man. Like if you're going from like Southwest Michigan to Grand Rapids, you got like an hour and a half to lay on your thickest BS to talk somebody out of it, So if someone's coming to pick you up, I was out of the 150 rides we've done, I think 2 people stood me up, where they just were like, no, and one of them was miscommunication. The other one was she was getting high in the woods.
Right.
So not really very acceptable reason, but
Well,
definitely not ready for treatment.
9 times out of 10, if the idea of or conversation of or actually action of somebody going into treatment has been brought up, there's probably some definite body as to that there's an issue that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah,
and then they're just skirting it.
Yeah,
That's what I did, at least. I mean, I'm like, was it really that bad? Or I was just going through a thing, I was depressed, or, I just didn't really like, the relationship I was in, and it just made me into a bad person. And I thought drinking was the answer. All very true things. That does not mean that, the bottom line is I use drugs and alcohol to mask, being able to function as me in the world. And that's the disease of addiction, is because it doesn't stop. Mm-mm. And it becomes a habit. You're changing your mental state to be able to cope, to be able to deal with the day. And I lived like that for decades.
I used to get mad at myself going, why? And I thought, like, am I that stupid? Like, what's going on? And when I went to Pine Rest in Grand Rapids, nice place, they show you the effects on your brain. And it really helped me break it down and make sense that I wasn't a bad person, and that it's natural for me after 20 years of curing this problem, air quotes there, about the problem, whatever problem I was having at the time, whatever I was running from or masking. That's what makes sense for me. It would be weird if I didn't drink, because I don't know another way to deal with situations or whatever I'm trying to mask or run or hide from. And it makes me feel good. It makes me forget. It makes me loose. It makes me relax. Whatever, it does. It does all those things if I want it to.
Makes the pain go away.
Yeah.
Makes you fall asleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it makes sense, and I had to learn that and then realize, okay, well, I need to think of other things to do. And the guy who listens to us sent me a message today and said he was reading the Big Book for the first time. I told him, cool. It's not a long read at all. Most of it's filled with stories, but I suggest everybody read it once at least.
Yeah.
What else you got to do? But he said that he's slowly learning the difference between active recovery and dry drunk. Mm-hmm. I'm like, perfect. Those are little things that you learn along the way that you're like, makes sense. I'm actively in recovery. I was talking to my dad today and I was telling him that, there's a huge difference between, well, I don't use drugs anymore and being in recovery. Mm-hmm. Of course there's recovery coach training that you take or we've taken. It's like, you're in recovery when you say you are. All right, whatever, man. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying there's a difference. You can sit there and do nothing. I just stopped drinking. I'm in recovery because I was saying, okay, man, whatever. But if you really want to be actively in recovery or have a good life where you're not missing using drugs, then you have to look and think about what you can do to fill that void from drinking and take that space in your mind and create a different way to deal with things. And sometimes it's just dealing with them. Mm-hmm. And you might get bad news. You might get great news. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't happen like you thought it would, and the problem you're running from wasn't really that big a deal. And at the end of the day, you're still alive. You got air, you're breathing, family's around. Hopefully, if that's the case, then, great. Those are the things that you need to look forward to, not the drinking and to run away from things.
Yeah.
But you start drinking, using drugs, and all you're doing is pushing people away. I was talking to my therapist today, and she was talking about her ex-husband, because I told her that I was speaking at the Families Against Narcotics deal, and it's in Gaylord, December 9th, 6:30 at First
United
Methodist Church. And I was telling her that, and I told her that I'm not going to get up there and just tell my story, but I'm going to take time and think about some of the events that involve my family and different ways that I've affected them. And I think I'm going to talk about that, and she's like, oh yeah, well, I can tell you, what it's like. And she was married to a guy who was an alcoholic, or is an alcoholic. And she just said she would be in fear, walking on eggshells like all the time. And 18 years she was married to him, and finally she had enough. But during that time too, she said she would take the kids when she knew he'd be home or coming home from work. She would take the kids and go in the bedroom and wait for him to pass out. And then they would all come out, and do their thing. And that's just sad. And the difference between that and like me and my mom, you can't divorce your kids.
Right.
Your mom, she can't divorce you. You're always going to be her baby. You're always going to be her child. Same thing with me and my mom. So she didn't have a choice. My stepdad, yeah, he can give up on me. My brother, he can just roll his eyes and go, well, if I don't see it, it's not happening. My sister can only do so much, but at the end of the day, she can't fix me. A lot of people do give up, but the parents, that's kind of the last line. And I've heard of parents giving up,
Yeah.
It's very frustrating to look at somebody and they look you right in the eye and they're crying and saying, I'll never do this again. And then 2 months later, they're back doing it again, and to feel the frustration that somebody like my mom or your mom or family members in general would feel. I don't know that. Thank God. And hopefully I never do, because that has to be one frustrating situation. But for my therapist, obviously, she came to the point where she knew she couldn't fix him. He didn't want to change. And she gave him the divorce papers, and he didn't even ask her to stay. And it kind of brought me back to a place where I told this woman to leave, and I was happy she left so I could drink. It's such a crazy thing to think about now. Like, I chose drinking over a lot of things, and I don't regret any of it, because where I ended up here today is where I'm supposed to be. And life's pretty freaking awesome right now. But just to look back and to think the things that I did for alcohol, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And the people that I've heard along the way, I can't change the past, but by living in recovery and being sober now, I think I'm making amends to a lot of people. And not that I do things just for that, but I think naturally it just happens, and it is happening. But I just thought, when my therapist was saying that, it's like, man, like that's got to be tough. And a lot of people go through that. And bottom line though, is you really can't change people. And how many times, he promised not to do it again, and I won't. And I don't know. It was just kind of sad to see that and hear that from someone else. And of course I know that goes on all the time, but the fact that alcohol had pretty much just taken her husband and held him prisoner. We were talking, and I was like, that's not the man you fell in love with. She's like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
So he was a completely different person, and alcohol slowly just took over his life, and that's all that mattered to him. And excuses, she said she has a book, and she wants to find it. I told her that'd be great if she published it. But it was a book of excuses. It was kind of like this little flip notepad, or like some index cards that were, had a little binder thing to it. And she just write them down. She had some good ones too that she just remembered off the top of her head. But Yeah, they didn't even make sense. It was, because you're not happy or because you are happy, and she's like, he contradicted himself like every day, but there was always an excuse. Well, I had to go strum up business at the bar and I had to do this and do that. But she always had an excuse.
Yeah.
And she said it was too much, but yeah. So the people that are sticking around, if you're in early recovery right now, or maybe you are the people that are sticking around, those people are very important. And those are the people that we hurt the most.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. There are times that I talk to my mom, and I mean, I spent a lot of time around my mom while I was drinking. A lot. And I'm thinking of the fact, I'm trying to think of stuff like she's brought up stories to me about, sad stories that she remembers about how I was in such, bad shape, or that I would have bad dreams all the time and my hallucinations and things like that. I bet you she has not even scratched the surface of all the terrible circumstances that I put her in, where she's just cried herself to sleep, just feeling completely helpless. I guarantee you it. But I mean, at this point, I don't think me asking, hey mom, tell me about all the other crappy times where I was so blacked out that, you had to do X, Y, or Z and pick up the pieces of my disastrous life. I don't want to hear about them, and I talk about this all the time, is that, it's not about the things that we've done. It's about what we're going to do with our lives today. That's what's going to make the difference. That's the only thing that's going to keep us sober. So the people that go into open talks and they're like, and then I did this crappy thing, and then I did this awful thing, and then I did this sad, and it's all it is just war stories and war stories, one after another. Yeah, okay, that is how you got here. That's a part of it. That's the nasty down and dirty of it all. Mm-hmm. But if you really are there to spread a message, then you need to talk about, what are you doing with your life now? Like, how did you overcome, all those things? Let's not dwell. Let's not spend 55 minutes on that and then 5 minutes on where you are now and how great your life is today.
Right.
That's like, even though the timetable of our life is probably, the percentage is about right in terms of how long I spent in the disastrous mode versus, but you know what? It's 8 million times more beautiful and more powerful.
Yeah, I try to focus on that too. I think maybe when I told my story for the first time in a year, so if you go back to if you're on the app, you go back to 2019, December 15th, I had a year. I told my story in front of some people at the treatment center. And I think I just pretty much told the story how I've seen people tell the story. But now when I think about telling my story, you're right. It's like, okay, yeah, I've done the bad things. I'm not going to get into all that. Yeah, I called the police on my mom, whatever. Said some really bad things to my sister, called her a horrible mother. But let's talk about how, when I was in jail 3 years ago to this very day, how that affected me. And that was the start of the change. Mm-hmm. And I could take it back to the hospital too, back when I lived in Arkansas in 2015. That's when I was put on blast, I guess you could say. That's when secrets out, even though everybody already knew. Mm-hmm. I had a problem with alcohol. I thought I was hiding it pretty well. Just don't call anybody or answer the phone. They'll never know. Posting dumb stuff on Facebook. And I eventually got away from that. But yeah, not talking to people, not answering people and their messages, or when I did, I'd be a dick, and people knew. So that's when I was outed. But yeah, like to set it up as more of a productive talk or, speech or whatever, talk about the things you've done to better yourself, and those situations where you caught yourself going, wait, what? Wow. The old me wouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. We were just talking about my father yesterday, I think it was, and how I'm glad that everything kind of happened the way it did. and how I can look back now and say, wow, I've really grown. And yeah, we didn't talk for 2 or 3 years or whatever, but we're talking now, and we both realize that we only live once and life is too short, you know, to hold grudges, especially with family. You know, when it's too late, it's too late. You know, there's a lot of things I wish I would have told my stepbrother. But I think, when I was talking to my dad today about that, is I think that, you know, I was the youngest of us 4. So I kind of felt like, how do I go to the bigger brother and say, hey man, you know, like, life's pretty kick ass. You know, I don't know what his problems are, or what he was trying to mask, or what he was running from, or if it got to the point where he wasn't even running anymore, he was just drinking to live, you know. And I don't know, you know, so there was a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't know how to approach that. And like I said, him being older, you know, like, I don't know. I didn't really want to make another enemy. And I guess I just didn't know how to approach it. And I can't save everybody's life. I can only save mine.
Yeah.
And he knew, I'm pretty sure he knew what I was doing. You know, he knew what was going on, and he had my phone number. I got a message from a couple people today that wanted help, and that felt good. Up here in northern Michigan, there's not a lot of options for detox, and both people wanted to go to detox. So I gave them Lisa's number with Hope Not Handcuffs, because they both needed rides. And of course we're partners with them, and we partner and do the transportation to get people to and from treatment. So I'd send them that way. And the one guy was a little livid that the detox in Traverse City had shut down, and he didn't know what to do. And that's gotta be frustrating too. You know, nobody really that I know had any decision to do that. And it must be hard running a place like that. Apparently, I don't know, but I know that's one service that we need more of, detox.
Yeah.
And to see a place shut down, it sucks, you know. And a lot of these people were kind of not counting on that place, but yeah, kind of counting on that place, you know, relying on that place. And then you take it away, and then they're like, what?
Yeah. And people don't look at it that way. That lots of times is a piece of the puzzle of people's stories, where they start. You know, they call it continuum of care, where it's like, you know, you need to, you cannot start at B when you need to go through A first, because it will be pointless. It will be worthless and dangerous. You know, you can't be going into a residential program when, you know, you don't know if you're going to seize out, you know, from withdrawal, you know, or pass out and hit your head, blackout, if you're still hallucinating, you know, what have you. So there's some things that need to happen. And if you say, I'm sorry, A is not available, but we have B, you just got to figure out how to, you know, and then how to what? How to what? Where am I supposed to go then? So, I mean, I can get their frustration. I completely understand. You know, go to the hospital where they, you know, love us there. Yeah,
they don't.
No, they don't.
And that's what I would do. I would usually go to the hospital, and of course my mom would tell them that, you know, the doctor said I can't drink and that my liver's not doing well, and you know, I'd have to say that I was going to hurt myself, otherwise they'd kick me out. And when I said that, you know, I'm going to hurt myself, I want to die, I wasn't kidding. You know, that's the feeling that I had at that time. And then they would keep me and then try to get me into a treatment facility. And luckily they had sent me to Pine Rest, like I mentioned earlier, quite a few times. But that's a dual diagnosis place, which I think is so key, you know. And then I was on Medicaid at that time, so they took me. But it helped me, like I said earlier, deal with, okay, how is my brain working? Why am I doing this? Because I really couldn't understand, and it was really frustrating me. You know, like, okay, I was depressed. Okay, things aren't going great in my life. Okay, I get it. Give me some pills, sure. But why are you giving me the pills? What do the pills do? You know, those were the things that I needed to learn. And then the importance of the medication that they had me on and why I was on it. You know, when they explained it to me about how the serotonin was made in your brain and how, you know, the alcohol would give it a little dopamine and how it would affect those levels. And then when I stopped drinking, my brain at first starts making more because it's got, hey, we got to produce the stuff. And then it's true, takes a break because it's like, hold on, that's way too much. And that's when a lot of people, they call it the wall. They hit the wall when they go through that phase. And just having that explained to me and taking the proper dose of medication, you know, I think they put me on a lot at first, which just made me freak out. But, you know, you do sometimes have to play with the dosage of the medication. You, not personally, but I'm just saying the doctor. Like, don't sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to take 3 more. You know, that you got to let the doctor know. And I learned that communication with the doctor is very huge as well. You know, just, I'm not taking that no more. And then bam, I'm getting brain zaps. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Mm-hmm. You know, they never told me, they told me don't just stop taking it. But I'm like, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. Just brain zap. I'm like, the hell was that, man? That's crazy. This is, But then learning, like, again, you know, learning about the medication, having that trust in the doctor and being completely honest with them. You know, it's something, I don't know why I wasn't honest with them before. I have no idea why. Like, maybe
because we were dishonest about everything.
Yeah. And I just thought, no, I'm good. And I don't want to be looked at by anybody, not even a doctor, as less than. You know, I don't want to be the guy who couldn't control his drinking. And I still wanted to drink one day. So I think all of that, I guess, added up, just kind of led me to, yep, I'm fine. Yep, working great, even though I quit taking it and got brain zaps. You know, I should have just been like, no, man, that's way too much. You know, this is the side effects and can't have that. And then when I get back on it, they're like, we'll just put you on a little bitty dose. And they did, and I was fine. Mm-hmm. You know, and I told myself I want to be on it for a year. And when I got my year, went to the doctor and told him, all right, I don't want to be on this anymore. And he's like, well, actually, you're taking such a small amount that you probably can just get off of it. And I was like, really? It's like, yeah. I was like, you want to cut him in half? He's like, if you want to, man, you can. But I'm just saying.
That's funny.
I was like, damn, all right. But yeah, so Giving Tuesday, if you want to give back, we appreciate the support. You can create a fundraiser. It's very easy on Facebook. If you just go to 217 Recovery's Facebook page, I put a video on there and I'm talking about Giving Tuesday, and I thank somebody in the video. Mm-hmm. And there's a link that you can use, and that'll help you set up a fundraiser for 217 Recovery. It makes it real simple, but I mean, it's pretty simple anyway. But you just type in 217 Recovery because we're a registered 501c3 nonprofit. We can be on Facebook. People can donate to us. You know, we're on the irs.gov website. Mm-hmm. You know, look us up and get our EIN number. If you want to write that off on your taxes, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I know I would very much appreciate the support, and it just tickled me pink. Like I said earlier, people had already started doing it.
That's so cool.
I know. I was like, my heart's touched. It's very, very sweet. Then I noticed like some other people did it for their birthdays that I didn't even see. So I'm going to have to check that out from time to time just to thank people.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, Rochelle, I think, was one of them. So thanks, Rochelle, if you listen still.
Thanks, Rochelle.
I appreciate it. And Justin and Jason. There's a few more people. Misty.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, there's more. But those are the names I remember.
Cool.
But yeah, thanks so much. Check out the video. Like I said, I posted. There's a link. It's also on YouTube as well. Go to our YouTube page. Make sure you follow us or like us or subscribe, whatever the button is called now. Mm-hmm. And get the app if you don't have that. Sign up for notifications. That way when we do a podcast like this, or before I was doing this podcast, actually, I sent out a notification to tell people to watch the video. So
there you go.
We'll let you know what's going on from time to time as well. So you good?
Yeah.
All right, super. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Tell us about your friends. Tell your friends about us. And you never know who you could help along the way, or whoever knows what craziness we could be talking about, something serious, something funny, but could help somebody one day. And we're just being real and honest with our recovery. We're not doctors or therapists.
No.
Not until I print us those certificates out anyway. Yeah. But thanks, though, for real. 217recovery.com. If you need to find resources, I know one of the resources that I've been giving out a lot is the PIHP list. It's on our website if you want to find out who you need to call before you go to treatment. A lot of times, if you're on Medicaid, you have to get an assessment first, and it breaks it down by what area you live in or whatever. It's kind of silly. Should just be run by one. Since
that's
we
a
all
whole nother podcast.
Live in the same state, but that is a different podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you. Oh, hold on. Pump the brakes. I know you thought you were going to get away with it. So the last episode called Regrets. Mm-hmm. We were kind of wrong on that one. You want to explain?
What do you mean?
Well, I have to take a drink because my mouth's dry. Hold on.
Are you talking about the trade?
No, I'm talking about fantasy football.
Yeah, I know. The trade.
All right. So you started Galladay, whatever his name is.
Yes.
Used to be a lion.
No, I did not start Galladay. I had originally planned on starting
Higgins.
T. Higgins.
But who did you start instead?
Galladay.
Wait, you just contradicted yourself.
What?
You said you did not start Galladay.
No, originally when I had my roster, he was not my starting. Right. He was not in my lineup starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you heard me talking about it.
Yes.
Heard me saying this and that.
You said, you're really, really silly if you don't.
I didn't say
do
that.
what I say right now.
But I had the tone of voice I used.
I was like, fine.
Did say that. So you started
him.
But then I did tell you, I said, well, you might not want to. It's up to you. It's your team.
That was not for real. That was more like, you can keep him if you want to, I guess. It's up to you.
No, because I was like, well, he does kind of suck, and so do the Giants. But But anyway, so you ended up starting him, and he only got you 6.5, and you left Higgins on the bench. Who got you 20 point whatever.
4.
Well, then I was laying in bed yesterday morning, Monday, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm still kind of feeling bad that I had talked you out of starting a better player. And I was like, hold on a minute, let me do the math. So I did the math on it, and even if you would have started Higgins, you would have lost.
Right, we went over all this before, and you said, but now you're welcome because you still can win.
But then you didn't because Russell Wilson sucks. But he started out doing great. I think at halftime he had like 12 points, and you only needed 18 or something.
No, 22.
20.5 is what you needed, or 20. Anyway, he was on his way, but then Russell Wilson sucks, and that kind of went to hell. So... sorry about that.
I thought you were going to say, like, he ended up, like...
No, you still lost, but you would have lost either way. So, I don't feel as bad.
Okay.
There you go. No regrets.
All right.
Anyway, thanks again, though. We're really wrapping it up this time.
All right.
But I just had to give even. No regrets. Take care. Talk to you Thursday.
See ya, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. For more episodes plus bonus features, download the 217 Recovery app and support recovery by rating us in the App Store.